Hey, and g'day, and welcome to my guest list pod. I'm your host, Darren, and thanks for taking some time out of your day to listen in from wherever and whenever you're doing so. This week, it's Season 2, Episode 16 of my guest list pod, and it's a very enjoyable interview episode. But before we get to the interview, remember, if you would like to get in contact with the show, you can find me at my guest list pod pretty much everywhere you look. And if you follow me on Instagram, you may have noticed that I launched a very basic online merch store recently. It's a bit of an experiment and something I'm just playing around with at the moment. I've ordered some samples of all but the female shirts so far, and so far so good. I'd have to say the mugs are my favourite item. They came up a treat. But as we are moving into autumn and eventually winter down here, the beanies might get a bit of a workout soon as well. If you're interested in any of the items on the store, feel free to contact me directly. There's no obligation to just order through the website. So, on to today's show. And it's an interview I did towards the end of last year. In fact, it was recorded the day after coming down with Delta COVID symptoms that had me sick for the next 3 weeks and 4 weeks before I was back at work. Not a fun period and something my wife and I are still dealing with in terms of the long COVID problems. But the interview itself turned out to be one of my favourites so far, and Leah was a joy to chat with. So let's get straight into it. Sit back and relax as we explore the world of the talented, witty and wonderful Leah Longbrake and her entertaining and informative podcast, Weddings Unveiled.
Hello, and welcome to Weddings Unveiled.
Today, I am honoured to be joined by a very talented individual. Leah Longbrake is a broadcast professional with years of radio, TV, and podcasting experience. Leah has worked for the Cleveland Cavaliers as an in-arena host, has been a news director, reporter, social media manager, and is a blogger. She is the current president of the Cleveland Association of Broadcasters, produces 5 podcasts for the Evergreen podcast network, and hosts her own show called Weddings Unveiled. So all the way from Cleveland, Ohio, it is my pleasure to welcome Leah to my personal guest list and onto my guest list pod.
Thank you so much for having me, Darren. I'm really excited to chat with you today and talk about our top 10 list and all that jazz.
That's great. Thank you very much for joining me. And at a fantastic hour too. Like I think I was saying to you before the podcast, this is the most reasonable hour I think I've ever done a podcast, having all the way down here in Australia. So it's about just before 10 o'clock at night, that's fine for me. That's really cool. So
and it's 7:30 a.m. for me.
So, and seems like you're
this is perfect for me
morning
too,
person. Yeah, great. Fantastic. So Leah, you do a podcast called Weddings Unveiled, and obviously we'll get to that in a sec. But if you can, give us the elevator pitch Leah Longbrake story, please.
The Leah Longbrake story. So, I mean, born and raised Cleveland, Ohio, in a neighborhood called Slavic Village, is where I originally grew up. And I reside now on the east side of Cleveland with my husband. And in between birth and life now, I went to Tri-C, Cuyahoga Community College right out of high school to study journalism and theater. And poli-sci was my ambitious minor, but I ended up just falling in love with theater and not really doing homework and going to class. And so from there, I was doing the vagina monologues when I met my first agent, and I got with Doherty and was just acting and modeling and bartending and serving to pay the rent.
Bills,
and
yep.
yeah. And in 2004, when I was 21, I was honored to win the role to be the Choose or Lose news correspondent for MTV and Cox Cable for Cleveland. So that helped me really get my feet wet with reporting. And, throughout the years, I got to work, like you mentioned, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I was in game presentation for them. I was the in-arena host of the Cleveland Gladiators. I worked in game presentation for the Cleveland Monsters. I worked for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame doing memberships and a little bit of visitor services. And then I went back to school it's now called Ohio Media School, but it was called the Ohio Center for Broadcasting when I went there. And it was a 1-year program. And through that, I learned a lot of great hands-on tools in radio and television, and interned for WGAR's morning show, which is our local country station. And then Fox 8, I did an internship with them for their morning show, Kicking It with Kenny. And then that led to me getting freelance reporting work with TV20, which is the City of Cleveland government and community news channel. And from there, I got hired on and was with them for 8 years. When I left them to go to Evergreen, I was production director, I was news director, anchor, reporter, oversaw the reporters and interns. I created and ran the social media. I hosted numerous shows like Catching Up with Council and Healthy Cleveland. And I had my own show when I first started called Listen Up Cleveland, which focused on music and fashion. And then, I made the switch to podcasting, and I've been with Evergreen. I'm coming up on 2 years at the end of this month. So really exciting. And I love it.
Well, that's quite a resume. And if I wasn't intimidated before, I definitely am now. So
nothing to be intimidated about. No. I mean, I literally worked 4 jobs at one point to get to where I am at. So it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Okay.
To be in media.
Out of all that you've done, what's probably been, that's a huge mug, by the way, that you're drinking. It's definitely a morning mug.
Yeah, I have to have my coffee. Yeah, it's the morning mug. It's my Irish coffee mug.
Very
it's actually
good.
My husband's, but it looks normal. But once you get to like the end and the coffee's gone, there's a little leprechaun in the middle sticking up, looking at you.
Very good.
Or it's my random cup.
Out of everything that you've done, what's been the favorite? What have you enjoyed the most so far?
That's tough. I mean, it really would be like a highlight of moments from each job I've done. It's so hard because like my years, my couple of seasons with the Cavs, it's when the LeBron era, the first time before he left us. Yep. Which I'm not still bitter about.
And no one's bitter about that, are they? No.
But us going to playoffs and almost to finals and stuff, and just seeing the excitement and the action, that was awesome. Working for the Rock Hall, I had so many wonderful experiences. I made a ton of friends that I'm still friends with 10 years later, and met really cool celebrities and got to just, be around the energy and the artifacts of the legends, right? And then, TV20, I had already known my husband. We were friends, but like we fell in love, and got to work together, and I got to that poli-sci minor, right? I got to be involved in politics because I essentially was working for mayor and council and city government. And then obviously now with Evergreen, I've learned so much. Like I thrusted myself into podcasting, which I had no experience in. And it's been awesome, and getting to work on these shows that I get to work on. And obviously my own with Weddings Unveiled has been an incredible opportunity that I'm pinched myself over. So I've just been really blessed. I mean, I can't pick one moment, obviously.
So podcasting is probably the something you've come to lately, although you've done it for a fair while. But Weddings Unveiled, how long has that been going now?
So actually next week, on October 7th will be the 1-year anniversary from when the first episode launched.
Okay, fantastic.
But I started working on it in lockdown, when lockdown started for us here in America in March.
So it was a product of lockdown sort of thing. So
kind of, yeah. Because like I got hired on at Evergreen. My first day in the office was November 4th of 19. And so I wasn't there very long when we went into lockdown, obviously, right? But a month into my working there, I pitched the idea, and they loved the idea. But, I was getting these other shows off the ground and going, and it's like, well, we'll revisit this. But then we went to lockdown. It was like, hey, we're all home and doing stuff. You guys pitch us your ideas. And so I created a demo and sent it to them, and they loved it. It became the first episode.
Oh, fantastic. That's really good. So, that's a good story. Why weddings? Looking at it, I thought to myself, if I was going to start a wedding podcast, now there's lots of aspects of weddings in terms of the video and the photo and honeymoon and, what else?
There's a lot to it.
And food and the reception, ceremony. So there's a lot there. So you're not going to probably want for content, but it's probably daunting to get the right people in. And this is the thing I do love about your show. You have fantastic guests. I don't know if you vet them before they come on, but you just seem to have the best guests. The last episode I listened to was about the harpist.
Yes, Courtney.
That was actually I thought to myself, well, harp's a beautiful instrument, but how many stories is this girl going to really have, sort of thing. But she was amazing. So it was actually a really good episode. But what drove you to start a weddings podcast?
So starting the wedding podcast really just came from a love of the industry, and I've been fortunate to not only attend a lot of weddings throughout my life, but I've been in a handful of weddings. And then obviously I planned my own. I got married in May of 19. I truly have firsthand experience now. And back in 2003 into 2004, I worked as a bridesmaids consultant for a big bridal shop here.
Oh, okay.
So I had different aspects throughout my life with it. And so I never thought to look for a wedding podcast when I was planning. I had all my books and magazines and thought I knew. I didn't know as much as I thought I did when planning. It was very overwhelming. But and that's kind of what led me to want to create it. Like, I want to create this kind of resource. And there are wedding podcasts out there that I've come to find like throughout this process. There's some really great ones out there. But from my perspective, and having a nice mix of industry peeps and real life brides and couples that have been through the process to kind of share their war stories, if you will.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about picking guests. I've been fortunate to have met so many great people in the industry, and they've been generous with their time with doing the show. But someone like Courtney, for example, I scored with her because she is this amazing harpist that not only has done weddings since she was 6, which I didn't realize until the interview. Mm-hmm. But how I met Courtney was when we worked for the Cleveland Gladiators together. I was the in-arena host of the Gladiators indoor football arena team, and she was one of the cheerleaders.
Oh, okay.
And that's actually how we met and kept in touch all these years.
Yeah.
But she was doing all of her harp gigs in between, doing games and stuff back then.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
But getting guests, I've been very, very fortunate.
Yeah. Okay. And there was another episode that you did with Megan, I think her name was,
Megan Gillikin?
Yeah, that was fantastic too. And she has, you can tell, like I was going to say, while I was listening to that episode, I thought, if this girl doesn't have a podcast, she should have one. She was fantastic as well. That was a great
and she does. Well. She does have a podcast.
Yeah.
And her podcast is focused for people in the wedding and event industry space.
Yep.
But Megan Gillikin, that's a stellar episode. I love that episode. Yeah. I love every episode, very but cool. That one, like you said, you can tell when people are podcasters.
Yeah, that's cool. Look, now you are the president of the Cleveland Association of Broadcasters, so that's quite a title, I guess. Which is pretty cool. Thank you. What does that entail for you on a weekly basis, sort of thing? Because you're obviously a very busy person. 5 podcasts that you produce, plus your own, plus I'm sure there's a myriad of other things that you do, plus that. What does it entail, and what does it ask from you each week?
So the Cleveland Association of Broadcasters, we're a board made up of people in the media industry. So whether it's production and talent, sales, marketing, and it's totally volunteer. And I think right now there's about maybe 18 of us. And we meet once a month virtually, obviously still right now with all of us still being in COVID world. Yeah. Which the hard part of that is usually we're planning events throughout the year. And those events help us to raise money, our funds for our scholarship program, which is our number one focus. Okay. We bestow 4 scholarships per year to students in college that are studying broadcast journalism media. One of those awards is the Fred McLeod Scholarship, which is a $2,016 scholarship for someone studying sports journalism. And why that is because 216 is the Cleveland area code. But that's a sports focused award. And then we have our other 3 for 4-year students and a 2-year college student. And so on top of that, we try to do educational programs throughout the year to educate the public on the various aspects of our industry, as well as people in our industry to kind of give them fresh takes on what's going on. And we also induct every year 3 new members into basically our Hall of Fame.
Okay.
So we bestow an award of excellence in television, in radio, and in leadership.
Okay.
So every month, again, we meet and we try to come up with ways to raise money for our scholarship program, which, as you can imagine, was very, very difficult in 2020 and has been a slow process in 2021, but it's a lot better now that we kind of have our bearings.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned how to navigate this world a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, it's a very rewarding position to be in. I've been with the board for 6 or 7 years now, and this is my second term as president. And yeah, I encourage anyone that is interested in our scholarship program or wants to donate, head to cabcleveland.com. We're cab_Clee on most of social media. And you can check out those cab conversations on our Cleveland Association of Broadcasters YouTube channel as well.
Okay. Do you find that because of the ease of access into podcasting, that there's a bit of a wane in the traditional media in terms of the traditional broadcasting, and a wane of people coming into that type of media, and people going out on their own and doing their own thing? Or is it still pretty strong in the local area, I guess, in Cleveland?
You mean like, is television and radio still as strong with things like podcasting coming about?
Applicants and things like that. So is there as many people coming through as there was, or do you have people now who you thought may have, or they would have come through that process in the beginning or a few years ago, but now because there's so many options in terms of vlogging and podcasting and blogging that you're not seeing as many people come through and you're seeing more people go out on their own?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Media is just always ever evolving. Mm-hmm. Before podcasting really blew up, I mean, it's really technically been around for like 10 years, but didn't really become a thing until like the last few. But, you had the invention of YouTube, and with that, you had Vine, which is now, to me, TikTok,
Yes.
So you're constantly seeing this different, and blogs before it was blogs, and then people started vlogging because of the advent of things like YouTube and Vine. So I don't really see traditional media like television and radio going anywhere anytime soon. It's just evolved. Okay. Because if you look, I don't know how it is there by you, but for us here, all the big time stations like the iHeart and all that, and even the TV stations, they all not only have their traditional medium, but they've all jumped over into podcasting and having, blogs and TikTok videos and stuff like that. So I don't think it's ever going to go away. And I don't notice a drop in that, but I just think it's ever evolving. Oh,
for sure. Look, we have it here with all of our radio stations, the really popular shows like the morning show and things like that on Gold or Triple M. They all have their show reposted as a podcast for everyone to enjoy at their leisure. And that on-demand feature, I think, just like with movies and music, that on-demand is what's really driving the next generation of kids. My kids look at my collection of DVDs and CDs, and they have no idea. They like, and what a waste of money. Why? So you get all this stuff. It's so cumbersome. And I understand Spotify and things like that are a great advent for everyone to actually be able to listen to a plethora of music. But it's a different world we live in, especially for my teenagers. They don't know any better, considering that's what they've been born into. Like you said, it's ever evolving, ever changing. So.
Well, yeah, and talk about changing the game. Streaming services, it really started off with just like a Hulu and Netflix, but now all the major networks are like, okay, well, we got this competition, so they've all spun off on their own. Like NBC has Peacock Channel, and CBS teamed with Paramount, it's Paramount Plus, and Amazon Prime. Like everyone now has their own streaming service, kind of like people branching off, having their own podcast on top of what they already had, just to give more options out there and to compete.
Okay. All right, so you do a lot. And the other thing I was going to ask you, I'll ask you that later. It was just about music and the Hall of Fame. But what does a week look like for you? So you do so much. What does a week look like for you starting Monday? So every week kind of varies because it just depends on what recordings pop up.
I have the same I have the same recording every Monday at 2 p.m. our time with Pip Pass Moto. But aside from that, I could have 3 banking transform recordings in a week, and we just have them banked then for like the next few weeks. That's a weekly show. And then with Informed, we'll have a recording this week, and then maybe 2 weeks from now, I'll have another one with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like with every show, like we could bank a bunch this week because we got lucky with all these guests, and then we could just have one this week and then one the next week and keep going. So on top of that, I'm working on, as a producer, scheduling guests and making sure everything's coordinated with that. Scripts are written or together. Show notes are written and together. The actual like listening and approving, working with the engineer to make sure that everything sounds, good and ready to go. Getting that scheduled then in Megaphone and for our website, and getting that launched on the proper day and time. And so, I mean, that in itself is a lot. And then 2 of the shows I produce, Banking Transform with Jim Maroose and The Cat's Walk, also have video components. We also record video with them.
Okay.
So choosing after ordering the transcript, choosing the highlights for, the episodes, making sure those look good, working with the video editor on that, and then getting those sent to whomever it needs to be sent to, or upload to YouTube, or, coordinating all that. And then with Cab, we meet once a month. So whatever my task needs to be with coordinating things. But that doesn't take up as much of my time at the moment. It will be soon, because we have a big event coming in the beginning of December. So I'm about to kind of ramp up more of my role there. But so like that's a nutshell for me in a week. It's very unpredictable for the most part, but there's a lot of the same things I need to do every week.
Okay, very good. And happy podcasting day for yesterday. So.
Happy podcasting day. Yes.
Very good. All right. Look, I did get you on here to count down a top 10 as well, because funnily enough, that's the major part of my show.
I know. And I love that you do this. Like, seriously, it's such a great idea.
Oh, thank you very much.
I was so excited. When you sent me the list of ideas, it was very overwhelming.
There's a lot there. So, and
I want to talk about all the things. So,
well, I actually have someone who I'm going to do a show with soon. He made his list and he sent it through to me, and he goes, I'm doing more lists. And I said, well, you don't have to. And he said, but no, I want to. So I said, all right, cool. We can do more shows. So anyway. All right. So let's have a look at your top 10 topic, which is top 10 favorite movie couples of all time. So I'm getting the idea that you're a hopeless romantic. So
absolutely,
you're doing a show
as you can see
weddings.
My Breakfast at Tiffany's poster in our dining room in the background.
Hepburn, yes, Jennifer Love Hewitt played her in the remake of Like Her Life Story or something, wasn't it?
Her Life Story, yeah. Good memory.
Yes.
Yeah, no, everyone forgets about that.
No, I remember that. It was good. So, all right, so we are going to count them down from 10 to 7. So this is no particular order, right?
Oh, I put it in order.
You did put it fantastic.
I did, because I'm that much of a nerd.
No, that's perfect.
And you have no idea how many times I switched this list up a little bit, but
okay.
My final.
Well,
this was tough.
I'm going to talk to you at the end of this list, because there's one couple that you didn't have on there that we're going to talk about.
I probably did at one point and just rearranged them.
All right. Well, tell you what. Why don't you give me your number 10?
Okay, I just want to clarify. This is very difficult, because I had at one point Princess Bride. I had Sweet Home Alabama. I had Forrest and Jenny. I had Rhett and Scarlett, but and Linda and Steve from Singles. But okay, number 10 is Armand and Albert Goldman from The Birdcage.
Oh, a performance!
I mean, 2 incredible actors, and whoever wrote these characters, bravo, because they're just so not only funny, but it's just so heartwarming. The love for each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. But without being mushy. It's
amazing. Their performances
the little fights.
Yes.
Because all couples fight.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's so brilliant.
Yeah, look, I must admit, when I saw this on there, I had forgotten about it. And again, I don't know why, but I didn't even think of these 2. And when I saw it on there, I went, damn, that could nearly be a number 1, because they were so fun to watch. And like you said, the little fights and things like that were quips and things like that. And it was very intelligent fighting. So it was very...
Yeah.
So
at the end of the day, they love each other and support each other, you know?
And Nathan Lane and Robin Williams, like you said, they're such talents. And it was a really... flamboyant setting. I think it was Florida,
Miami.
Oh yeah, it was in Florida.
Yeah, Miami, Florida.
So it was.
And then
it was everything. Color.
The son gets engaged to Calista Flockhart's character, and then her very conservative New England type family. It's all around just amazing. Yeah. So they're number 10.
Applause on that one because I'd forgotten completely, and that was fantastic to see you put it on there. So well done. All right, number 9.
Is the classic Holly Golightly and Paul Varjak from Breakfast at Tiffany's.
There we go, a classic. And
again, it's on my wall behind me.
Yes. So you couldn't leave that one out for sure.
Not at all. But I just love their dynamic because they're both troubled souls, and she's doesn't want to be pinned down, and he doesn't want to pin her down. He just enjoys being with her. It took her a while to get that through her thick skull, but she did at the end, and that's all that matters.
I've seen this movie, but I saw it a long time ago, and I grew up with my grandparents, so I would see a lot of this style of movie whenever they came on TV, and it was a matter of, we get a chance to watch it. So, a lot of musicals, Showboat, State Fair, Seven Brothers, all that sort of stuff. So my grandfather
I almost had Oklahoma on my list.
There you go.
I took Lori and Curly off.
So, it's been a long time, though, since I saw this movie. So anything with Audrey Hepburn in it, though, was going to be amazing. Very cool. Now, this one. Okay. Now, let me just tell you. This. All right. I'll let you introduce your number 8 first. And we'll take it from there. No.
What are you going to say? Okay.
Number 8.
8 is Tula Portocalis and Ian Miller, My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
So... I'm married to a Greek, but I'm not Greek.
Oh! So you get it, right?
I get this. My best mate says this is my pretty much life story. So,
I love that.
My wife and I have been together we've been married for 24 years, but we've been together for 33 years. But it was a long time before we actually...
Did you get married when you were like 15? You're so young.
No, I'm not that young, but thank you very much. You just became my favourite guest. It's funny. There are some things in there that we can just relate to because I have I'm not from a Greek background, and obviously my wife is, and my in-laws are first generation Greeks to Australia, so they cling on to their culture a lot. And so there are a lot of things that we had to work through. I
love this so much.
Yeah. So when I saw that on there, I went, okay, yeah, that's a good one. We're going to be talking about that one a bit. So what in particular about that do you love?
I love that, one, she got herself together before she was open to love. Like, obviously she wanted love and she wanted adventure and experience, but she focused on herself and wasn't like trying to please him or like make herself over for him.
Mm-hmm.
She made herself over for herself, but he accepts her, her for who she is, her, I say crazy family lovingly, not like they're actually crazy, but like, he's this only child from this quiet conservative parents.
Yeah.
And he gets thrust into this very excited household.
It's a Greek household.
Yeah, I mean, they pick on him, like the brothers and the cousins all pick on him and stuff like that, but he just rolls with it. Like he loves her that much that, he got baptized and went through all these things, all this crap that his parents would, her parents would give him and stuff, that he just, well, the dad in particular, but being a dad. And, he loves her and he just
goes with it and does
dealt
what he has
with it. Yeah.
Let me let you in on a little secret. I actually got baptized in Greece, Orthodox, to get married.
That's amazing.
That was a little, we just finished uni. My wife and I went to uni together and we just finished, and I went on a, after uni sort of sabbatical, just a break, holiday with two of my friends, and we went to the Greek islands, and they have a an apartment in Athens, and then we just did the islands, and then it was Italy and Spain and everything like that. But as a bit of a surprise for her, I actually got baptized in Greece on one of the islands on Paros, and came back Orthodox, and that way we got married in a Greek Orthodox church. So when they had him and I had exceedingly long hair then too. So
did you feel like the greasiness like he was dealing with?
100%. So what happens is they put the oil in your hair and on the bottom of your feet, on your hands and things like that. And on different points they make a cross with the oil. And it goes in your hair and you can't wash it out for 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
So I went out dressed up when we go to a nightclub or something like that, and my hair was as greasy as you. And I had long ringlet curl hair, and I mean hair that goes down right past the middle of my back. And it was, I've got photos. It's very funny.
That's great.
And then you can't wash it out by rights. You can't wash it out in, where the water goes to sewage. So I actually went into the ocean and washed myself off and cleaned myself after the appropriate time.
Wow.
So, and then we had to, you have to go to church for 3 weeks after you've been baptized. It's the sort of thing. And we're there on holidays. We're coming home at 4 or 5 o'clock. And then we're having to get up to go to church at 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning. We're falling asleep in the pews. And the funny thing was, it was towards the end of our holiday. So my mate and I did it once, and then we were supposed to do it twice back here. We did it once and said, that's close enough. So
God understands.
So, yeah, he understands. So that's all right. It's cool. So, So sorry to
that's awesome. I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing.
I could just feel, I could empathize with Ian Miller. So that was John Corbett, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
And he was. What was he was also in a really good series I used to watch about Alaska. He was in. Was it
Northern Exposure?
That's the one. Yes, yeah, that's why.
That was a great show.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that show. I loved that show back in the day.
Yeah, I really liked that. So.
That was a great show. And then of course he went on to do Sex in the City.
Of course,
Aiden.
Yes, very.
And he's been with Bo Derek for a very long time. They've been together almost 30 years.
I didn't even know they were together. Okay, you're kidding? Oh.
Yeah, 20 at minimum, but probably close to 30 years now.
What's the age difference there?
He's 12 or 15, her junior, I think.
Okay, that's not too much then. So yeah,
or her senior. How's that work? I always think I mixed it up. He's younger, but
he'd be younger. Yeah. She'd be this. Yeah, she's the senior. So okay,
yeah.
All right, number 7.
It's Robbie Hart and Julia Sullivan, the wedding singer.
Very cool.
I mean, she doesn't get to be Julia Gulia, which makes me very happy. I love her and Robbie together, and you could just tell their rapport. Like, again, brilliant writing. The rapport from the get-go when they meet at the wedding in the beginning, and they started off as friends first, which I think is key for relationships. My husband and I, we were friends first, and I think it's really good to have that foundation. And that's one of the things I love about that couple. They get to know each other as friends first and kind of build upon there. And then at the end, when he goes after her, so she isn't elope with that asshole jerk. Can I swear on here?
You certainly can. That's fine.
Okay. And he plays that song for her, and just love it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I must admit, I do like that show, not so much probably for the dynamic between those two, which is great, don't get me wrong, but it's
all the 80s nostalgia.
Yeah, John Lovitz and all that sort of stuff. It's just so funny.
Billy Idol on the plane.
Yeah, it's Billy Idol. That's it. Exactly right. It's a really cool. Well, there was 1998 too. What else came out? Was it 50 First Dates? That came out that year.
That was after that. That was after that. That was a couple of years after that.
I've never seen that movie. Do they still have that? Do they just have an on-screen chemistry, or was it?
They for sure do have an on-screen chemistry. So this might be controversial for my rom-com fans. 50 First Dates was one of the handful of movies that after I left the theater, I was like, I kind of want my money back. And I love Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
I love Adam Sandler too, but I'm a big Drew Barrymore fan, since I was young. But the movie just
Didn't
I
hit.
mean, there's parts that are endearing, obviously, but just kind of bored me.
Okay.
And if I just had like the wedding singer expectations in my head or not, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that yet, so I just knew it was another one where
Let me know what you think when you do.
Okay, I'll have to put aside some time to watch it with Netflix and everything else nowadays, and my eldest boy telling me to watch this and watch that, and it's it might be down the list, unfortunately, but I'll let you know if I do watch it. So
I understand.
All right, cool. All right, look, why don't we take a break from the countdown and we'll ask you some questions about Leah again, getting to know you a little bit better. So we understand that you're a very busy broadcaster. What do you do for fun? What do you do away from broadcasting and like sport or hobbies or anything like that?
So yeah, I enjoy going for walks and runs. I'm actually not competing, it's competing with myself, but there's the Cleveland Marathon is coming up at the end of this month, and I haven't done it since 2018. And I'm going to be back at it doing the 5K Saturday and half marathon Sunday.
Oh, okay.
So it's the challenge series. So I enjoy being out in nature. I don't get to do sports like I used to, but I love doing sports. Like for years I was a cheerleader and did softball and volleyball and all that jazz. But I love just frolicking around my beloved Cleveland, just going to the different restaurants. I love supporting independent restaurants and stores, boutiques. Hanging out with my husband. Yep. You know what? Now that's becoming fall, winter, we'll go back to being video game nerds.
Oh, cool.
And we'll sit there for hours playing Cities and Skylines. Have you ever played that?
No,
so fun.
More of a COD player myself, so yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. And trivia, that's the other thing. Like my friends and I will do board game nights and trivia. Like we're huge about it. Like one of my best friends hosts trivia nights and stuff like that. And all for games, all for trivia. Fantastic. And board games.
I love trivia. I listen to about 4 trivia podcasts. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I had one as my second guest on the show, Superfuntime Trivia from Canada. They do a live trivia event as well, and they just make it into a podcast.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. It's more adult trivia, so the questions are pretty normal, but the byplay, the interaction between the two hosts is more of an adult level, so it's funny. Yeah.
I know I love the adult games like Cards Against Humanity, and yes. I bought during lockdown. There's this YouTube channel I'm hooked on because I love psychology and sociology, so when I get things like this, it gets me all excited. But it's called Cut, and they do a game called Truth or Drink.
Okay.
And so they'll have like couples on there, they'll have exes on there, they'll have a parent and their child, and they ask them these questions. And if you don't want to answer it, you have to do a shot.
This could get messy very quickly.
And so I bought it.
Especially
they now sell it as like a game. Well, and there's different levels. Like you can just do like the tamer ones that you'd play with your coworker or something, you know? And then they have like the super raunchy that like if you're playing with your significant other, you know? Yeah. Okay. So that's when you can really find out about each other. And we tried playing that during quarantine, and it was good and bad.
I was about to say that could go one of two ways.
I would recommend Truth or Drink. It's super fun.
I'm going to have a look at that for sure, definitely. So you were involved with a lot of the sporting teams in Cleveland. So are you a big sports fan?
Oh yeah. No, I love all of our sports teams. Definitely a huge Browns fan and Indians fan. Like I just got to go to an Indians game with Evergreen. We had a company night out there, and it was so much fun because I hadn't been to a game all season, and it was the last week that we're going to be the Indians because we're about to change next season to the Guardians.
Yeah, I heard.
And so it was awesome to get to be at the ballpark and enjoy that ending of one part of our history, right? And then I was just at the Browns home opener, not the actual game, tailgating, because tailgating it's basically a sport here in Cleveland. you're up and you're drinking in the parking lots surrounding the stadium by like 7 a.m. And I love it. I live for football season. Out of all the sports, like I played softball for years and I love baseball, but if I had to choose, I'd say I'm a football girl first.
Yeah. Look, it's a hugely popular sport. Obviously, we have, you'd be surprised, we have a lot of people that follow NFL in Australia.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and we have one of the guys in a group that I'm in, a podcast group that I'm in on Instagram. They actually do a fantasy football league, and he does a podcast for that called Astro League podcast. And they're all Australians, and they're all mad NFL fans.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. They're like the NFL version of me with hockey, I guess. I really love my hockey. I'm a Dolphins fan as well. I do like the NFL, but yeah,
Dolphins is my husband's other favorite team.
Oh, really? Very good.
Yeah.
So, Rudy. So
Patrick Rudy.
I was about to say, how did he get to? So his name obviously is Patrick. Is there a story that you can tell why he got the name Rudy?
It's funnier when he tells it, but I can give you the Cliff's Notes version. Okay. It is a really awesome story. So, my husband's mom was in labor with him, and his Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe wasn't married to Aunt Nene at the time, but they were together. Well, he wanted to be there for the birth. He didn't have a car. He has been waiting at the bus stop trying to get this bus to, take him there. This is 1975, mind you. Okay. So right by the bus station was like this convenient mart or something. So Uncle Joe saw this guy get out of his car, left it running to run inside to get something. So he hopped in his car and stole it.
No.
And went to the hospital.
Oh, God.
Just missed Rudy being born, right?
Yeah.
And but he gets there and gets to see him. He goes back with the car, and the guy's still there. And again, 75. There's no like cell phones and but this is like 2 or 3 hours later, and the guy is like still.
Yeah. Where's my car?
Where's my car? So Joe brings it back. He explains the story, the situation to the guy. The guy's like, I'm not going to press charges. And the guy's name was Rudy.
Okay.
Joe then tells Patrick's dad and mom, like, you should name him Rudy as a thank you for not pressing charges. And they're like, no, he's going to be a junior. But he just called him Rudy. And it caught on with the family. So close family and friends, he's Rudy.
That's fantastic. What a story. Yeah. And something you'd never see happen again ever.
No. So. Definitely not this time.
No. That's great. Very good. Look, music is a big part of your life as well. You were talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame before, and you also had some involvement with country music as well.
Can't think with country music.
Nothing.
I was at the country music radio station.
Yes, the country music.
I interned at the radio station.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, first of all, I've got to ask, what's with Cleveland being the home of rock and roll?
The number one main reason, the term rock and roll was coined here in Cleveland by radio disc jockey Alan Freed.
Okay.
The actual term rock and roll was birthed here. And, when the Beatles first came to America, they played here at Cleveland Public Hall. Elvis played up here. I mean, the music scene blew up here with artists from here. You had Eric Carmen and the Raspberries and Devo out of Akron and all these great acts. When bands would come here, they'd hang out the legendary Swingos. And so we have a deep history, but the first and foremost is the actual term rock and roll was birthed here.
Okay. I did. Well, that's something I've learnt, which is great. And I'll hold on to that one for the next trivia that I go to.
And next time you need to come to Cleveland and check out the Rock Hall.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be great. That'd be fantastic. Okay. Bands, do you like to see bands live?
Love. Okay. Love. Oh yeah. Big about seeing musical artists.
So who's your favorite? Or who are some of your favorites?
I say there can't be number one. I guess if I had to pick a number one, it'd probably be when I got to see. It was my 21st birthday present to myself. I took my mom. Prince, 2004 musicology tour, front row.
Oh, nuts!
And he did the round stage.
Yeah.
And the first like 5,000 people at the arena got the musicology album, so I got it.
Oh, fantastic!
Walking in the door, that was a dream.
Yeah,
like seeing him come up from below the stage, coming up, and he had these really high
heels
boots. Yeah. The heels were all sequined.
Yeah.
It was a dream. It was everything I wanted and more. He was
the first
perfection.
First album I ever bought, like first vinyl album I ever bought, was 1999. So,
Ah!
yeah. So, yeah, no, I'm with you there.
Yeah, I had the cassette tape somewhere.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been fortunate to see so many great acts. Like I've seen Def Leppard a handful of times. Yep. They're fantastic, both in the arena and outside. Mm-hmm. I saw Clapton. I saw the Eagles. I saw Fleetwood Mac with all the original members.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I've seen Kem is one of my favorites. Vince Gill, one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. Gosh, I've been so fortunate. Well, a really cool concert I went to was, I think it was called Rock to the Rescue Tour. It was 2002, and the money from the event went towards the firefighters and safety forces from 9/11.
Okay. And
it was an all-day event. Early on the day, it was like Eddie Money. It was Sam from Sam and Dave. It was Tommy Shaw of Styx solo work. And then the four headliners was Bad Company, REO Speedwagon, Foreigner, and then Styx rounded out. That was cool. An incredible day. Yeah. I was 19 and it was awesome.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Oh, very cool.
But yeah, I've been very, very fortunate.
Oh, that's good. With podcasts, so you obviously involved with podcasts and you do a podcast yourself. Do you have a list of podcasts that you listen to as well, regularly?
Yeah. I mean, I try. It's so hard because when you're working on so many podcasts to try to make the space, but I do. So, with Evergreen, we have over 100 podcasts. But some of the ones from our network that I really enjoy listening to are Riffs on Riffs, which if you're a music fan and lover, it's a great one. 5-Minute News. We now have West Wing Reports, Burn the Boats, especially if you love politics and history. And then not from our network that I do listen to, the Bouquet Toss, which I was recently a guest on.
Okay.
That's a fantastic wedding podcast done by Budget Savvy Bride. And then the Noel Casler podcast. And Noel, if you don't know him, he is a comedian, but he's spent decades working in production. And he worked behind the scenes on The Apprentice and the Miss USA pageant and all this. And he basically said, screw you, Trump, with your NDA. I'm telling everybody everything. And so every episode, he really kind of
let's fly.
He gives you the tea. But it's also not just about Trump and his evil administration. It's also all this other cool life experiences he's had over the years working in production, because he's worked on Super Bowls and Oscars and Grammys. And he told his story about Lollapalooza 99 and watching all that destruction happen. And that's an awesome podcast.
Oh, I might check that one out as well. So very cool. Yeah. Look, with podcasting and the producing, do you prefer one over the other?
You mean hosting?
Yeah.
Versus
so being a
producing?
host or being a producer, which do you you find more rewarding? Because I could understand, as being a producer, when you see something go out and you've done all the work behind there and it goes out and it goes smoothly and you go, that's a great feeling.
It is.
So
but I also love being talent. I also love it. I love interviewing people.
Yeah.
And my background was obviously television, before podcasting. And it just kind of innate in me to, I'll have a conversation non-working and start turning it into an interview. And I don't do it purposely, but people will laugh and be like, you're turning into an interviewer. I'm like, I'm not trying to. It's hard. That's like a Sophie's choice. I can't make a decision. That's what I love about my show. The two worlds collided and I get to host and produce it.
Produce it, which is fantastic. Yeah. Great. That's good to hear. All right. Look, let's get back to your countdown. I think we were up to number 6. So what have you got at number 6?
It's Prince Akeem Jaffer and Lisa McDowell from my favorite comedy of all time, Coming to America.
This is really your favorite comedy of all time?
All time, hands down.
I'm so glad. Oh yeah,
Beverly Hills Cop and Ghostbusters are kind of fighting for second place. But yeah, since it came out, Coming to America is my favorite comedy.
Okay, very good. And what about?
So you can imagine my excitement when Part 2 came out last year.
I haven't seen it. Is it any?
Oh, it's so good.
Okay.
Yeah, there's haters out there it's not as good as the first one. It's well, they weren't trying to make it. This is just go with it. They weren't trying to top the first one. You can't top the first one. Yeah. But I thought they honored it appropriately.
Very good. Oh, it's good to see. Yeah, look, that's one of the lists that I do. I offer up is what's a sequel that killed a franchise or killed the first movie, sort of thing, or sequels that were better than the first movie, and classic movies that have had such an impact, especially on a generation. Because they all in the 80s or all in the 90s, and they're one of those movies that stands out. And this is one of those movies for sure. You hate it ruined by a less than capable sequel. And so I want to see it. I will see it. But it's good to hear that someone who likes the original so much said that this is a good movie. What about is it just the fact that it's such a love story and there's so many impediments to those two getting together that actually makes you like this couple?
Well, yeah. I mean, think of it. He's a prince. He doesn't want her knowing this, obviously. And she was with this douchey guy played by Eric LaSalle, what was he, like the kid of the guy that created Soul Glow? Yeah. So technically she was with this guy who's, rich.
Yeah.
But she falls for Akeem thinking he's just, a worker at her dad's fast food restaurant. Like she saw him for him and he obviously adored her for who she is. There's all those girls on the stage in their bikinis that he noticed, like the beautifully spoken Lisa. Yeah. So yeah, I love their dynamic.
Yeah, very good.
And when she finds out he's a prince and that he didn't tell her, she was mad at him. But
yeah, but not for too long.
I love that movie.
Yeah, she was mad, but not for too long.
Yeah. When you think of garbage, think of Akeem. I love it. I love that. I just can quote from it all day.
And Arsenio Hall.
So freaking good.
Arsenio Hall plays such a cool, like, for me, some of the best moments in that movie too come from him.
Yes.
Yeah, it's such a cool movie.
Yes.
All right. Number 5. What's number 5, please?
Wayne Campbell and Cassandra Wong from Wayne's World.
Now you're talking.
And obviously Wayne's World 2 as well.
Yes.
I love Wayne's World. It's up there with my comedies as well. But what a fun couple. Like, he is not what you would, if you look at her, you'd think that, maybe she'd go for. You'd think more like the Rob Lowe character, right? Mm-hmm. And but she loves him for who he is and was already a fan of his show before, his random basement show, right?
Yeah.
And he learns Cantonese to try to talk to her. And any guy that goes out of his way to try to learn another language to, like,
oh, for sure,
impress.
Yeah.
That's big. So yeah. They're a great couple. And then, of course, one of my favorite scenes in that movie is them when she takes the phone call in the bedroom and he does, like, the happy birthday, Mr. President. Tries to make her laugh when she's on the phone.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Mike Myers is one of my favorite comedians. He is very, very versatile. And I actually think it's not related to the couple as such, but when he has, I think it's in the second one where he has the fight with her. Is it her father? And he's speaking Cantonese to him.
Yes.
Or Mandarin.
And they recreate The Graduate. And like he gets her out of the chapel.
There's just so many good parts of that movie, and it's a classic. And what can you say? It's great. And look, like you said, again, it's a couple that you probably look at and go, nah, not going to happen, and not going to happen in the real world, sort of thing. But well, that's the fun of it as well.
He has that Dreamweaver moment when he first lays eyes on her, and like that's true, like love at first sight, right?
Yeah, well, it's a true.
Everything
Dreamweaver.
stops with that person.
Yeah, it's a true Dreamweaver moment because I think they played that in the background, didn't they? That's right. Yeah. Whatever happened to Tia Carrera? I haven't seen her after.
She did Dancing with the Stars years ago,
we never saw that.
I don't know of anything released since then. Maybe she's doing bit parts of something. I don't know. I haven't seen anything in a minute. I don't think since Dancing with the Stars I've seen anything, but yeah. Talk about a talent thoot
Oh yeah, definitely.
She really sang on that movie.
Yeah. No, she, like you said, she can wail.
Yes.
So what's at number 4?
Number 4 is Kathleen Kelly and Joe Fox from You've Got Mail.
Okay. Now, that was Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks.
Yeah. And this is actually the third time they partnered up for a movie because first they did Joe versus the Volcano.
Oh, that's right.
And then after that was Sleepless in Seattle. So this was the third and my favorite of their partnerships. And, sometimes some people like look at that movie and think, oh, well, they were fighting the whole time and he was putting her out of business. But I look at the layer. Like that was like the fun snippiness, right?
Yeah.
But like you look at the actual relationship, which is them being pen pals, not knowing
that it's exactly.
that it's each other, right? And they were getting to know each other on that level. and he was already helping inspire her to like, because she in the movie was like, I love my shop and I feel a little lost. And with it closing, and she was missing her mom who had passed away and had started that bookshop. And she was like, I just feel like there's something more, for me, basically. And he inspired her without her knowing it was him at first to eventually, not, spoiler alert here, but, she ends up writing children's books. And so, but if it hadn't been for, his encouragement as the secret guy online, she maybe wouldn't have gone that route. And then him being Joe Fox, the business guy that she does know, putting her out of business kind of obviously forced that too. But once they become friends in person before she knows it's him later on in the movie, like, I don't know. I think they have a really good dynamic.
Yeah. It's funny because, like you said, you have someone who you're fighting with like that, like they, that back and forward with them. But then there's obviously that support and that connection through the correspondence. Once you find out that that's the same person, I think that was a really awkward situation. So you, again, could go one of two ways.
Right? Yeah. At the end, when he unveiled it was him, lucky for him, she was like, I was hoping it was you, because if it went the other way, we'd have a different kind of movie.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I've got to say, 1998 was that movie, but there was also another movie with Meg Ryan that year. And I thought maybe you might have gone for that one because that's
French Kiss?
City of Angels.
Oh, right, with Nick Cage.
Yeah.
See, I think it's a great movie, but it didn't really do anything for me. Like, I think I almost on my list was French Kiss.
Okay, yeah.
Which won't stream anywhere. So Netflix or Hulu, whoever, like, get together and get French Kiss for me so I can watch it again. But her and Kevin Kline, that movie, are brilliant.
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, City of Angels was different. It was just because it was a bit more of a soppy love story. I thought maybe you might have been drawn to it. So
no, it kind of like didn't do anything for me. Like Titanic doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I'm the same.
I'll never let you go, and then like she lets him go. I don't know. It was just like I can't.
Look, the best thing come out of that movie was probably Goo Goo Dolls, that song. So yeah.
Yes, that's actually when you said City of Angels. That's the first thing that's like it started playing in my head.
I think it's for everyone because they forget the movie and remember the music. So. All right, cool. What's at number? Oh, okay, number 3. This is one that stood out for like, yeah.
Yeah. Number 3 is Barbara and Adam Maitland from Beetlejuice.
Don't say it anymore.
And anyone that knows me knows it's one of my all-time favorite movies. And my husband and I have been Beetlejuice and Lydia twice for Halloween.
Oh,
already.
Fantastic! I've got to see photos of that.
Like
that's
full
great.
on. Oh yeah, I'll send to you for sure. Like hardcore, all about it. Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies since it came out. I have it pretty much memorized.
Very cool.
I have the Christmas ornament of Beetlejuice on my Christmas tree every year. Like, I love this couple. And it's so funny. So last year during lockdown, I told my husband at one point, I don't know how many months into it we were, I go, I really feel like, and we're newlyweds, right? Because we got married May of 19. Lockdown happens in March of 2020, right?
Yeah.
We still haven't had a honeymoon because we were going to go on our honeymoon for the 1-year anniversary, but we were in lockdown. So I told my husband, I go, I truly get it now. Like, I really feel like we're Barbara and Adam because it's like we're dead and we're just living in this house. Yeah. We might as well be wearing the same pajamas every day. Yeah. I'm constantly dusting and it's constantly dusty. Like, I feel them.
Okay. Yeah. Look, that's
if you go outside, you're gonna get eaten by a sandworm. That's COVID.
Yeah.
You know.
That's yeah. Look, I never thought of it that way, but you're sort of right. It's not great. You poor thing, getting married when you did and then having all this happen. So that's, not the great. Look, you got a lot to make up for, I guess, after COVID and lockdown and everything like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
But like, so Barbara and Adam as a couple, though, I mean, talk about like, if you are going to have to die with someone, you better hope that you do love them. Like, their love, you're stuck with them literally for eternity.
Eternity is a long time.
Think about that when you're going to get married. Yeah. Who would you want to be in lockdown in eternity with?
Yeah.
So, but they just balance each other really well. You know, they both have he has like his like neuroses, like he builds his like city and he has his little things. And I don't know. I like how they balance each other and they try to help each other navigate the afterlife.
Yeah.
And this couple, this family that moves in, that's completely opposite of them. And
Yeah, Gina Davis was great too. I thought it was a really good performance by her. She was, she's got a very expressive face, and she definitely used it in that movie. And it was like that sort of movie, I guess. Michael Keaton, again, one of my favourite roles of his as well. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
And
the entire cast. I mean, the great Catherine O'Hara, who some people are just discovering now because of Schitt's Creek, but and fun fact, I learned about this from her watching Watch What Happens with Andy Cohen. She met her husband on the set of Beetlejuice. He was one of the set designers. Oh, okay. Or was the set designer.
Oh, fantastic.
And they're still married to this day, but yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, cool story. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Very good. All right, so we're up to number 2. Now, number 2, you're going to do all the heavy lifting on this one because
I wondered if you'd ever seen any of it.
No, I know what it is.
I mean, it's from the 80s, but it's definitely a female-driven.
Yeah.
And if you're a literature nerd, mostly female though. But yes, my number 2 is Anne Shirley and Gilbert Blythe from Anne of Green Gables, and the Anne of Green Gables, trilogy. So Anne is adopted. It takes place in Canada. This is like Prince Edward Island.
Okay.
So Anne Shirley is this feisty redhead orphan that gets adopted by this brother and sister who are older. They're probably set like 60s, 70s, somewhere in there. And they were actually trying to adopt a boy so that he could help with the farm. But, Matthew, the brother, it's Matthew and Martha. So Matthew goes to the train station to pick her up, and this little redheaded girl, right?
Yeah, it doesn't look like a boy.
And they were going to give her back, but then they decided to keep her, and like this is the best decision they ever made. So they put her in school, and there's this boy in the class named Gilbert, and he starts picking on her because obviously he's a crush on her, and he calls her carrots and all this her hair, and she breaks a chalk slate over his head. This is like late 1800s.
Yeah.
And so through Anne of Green Gables and Anne of Avonlea, you kind of watch not only their personal growth as people, but then you watch their love develop.
Okay. Yeah.
Any Anne of Green Gables fan knows and understands.
Okay. So
they were always meant to be together.
So you'd be a fan of Downton Abbey and all that sort of stuff as well, the Victorian era?
It's on my list to still watch. Like I haven't watched it yet. Well, I'm kind of picky when it comes to the time period piece stuff.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I still haven't watched The Crown, but I'd like to, I haven't watched Downton Abbey yet, but I'm sure I'll get to binging it at some point. Okay. But I fell in love with Anne of Green Gables. It came out, when I was a kid in the 80s on PBS, and I had the VHS cassette tapes and,
So you were into it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that one that's sort of a relationship that happens over, a long period and things like that. There's so much invested in it that I can see how it would be, especially if you read the books or watched the movies or the series, you'd be really invested in their relationship and how that would have that impact. So, yeah, that's.
Yeah. And I have all 10 books in the series.
Oh, okay.
So, comparing that to how they did the movies, I actually prefer the movies. Oh. I think they did a good job of condensing some of the books.
Yeah.
Because like Anne of Avonlea is the second movie in the trilogy. And that's where, they end up graduating from high school and going off to university, and it's separate university. They are not around each other. They kind of keep in touch once in a blue moon, but, via letter. But you see their personal journey, but then they come together, and will they, won't they? And just spoiler alert, some turned down proposals at first, but like, the book series, it was book number 3 where the proposals happen, but they put it in what would be part 2. So yeah, I mean, it's really fun. And I really, really recommend anyone that hasn't seen Anne of Green Gables and Anne of Avonlea to check it out. I forgot the name of the third movie. The third movie is where they actually get married.
Okay.
But,
nice.
And there's war.
Oh, not so nice. Okay. Well, I can't guarantee that I'm going to go watch them, but I do know of them, as I said. But anyway, that's cool. Look, why don't we have a little bit of a break? I'll let you have some water. I'll go have a coughing fit, and we'll come back with a special round of questions for you.
Perfect.
And we're back in with Leah from Weddings Unveiled. And we have the last set of questions for Leah before we get to her number one. And I've made this a wedding-themed round of questions. So some of them are quick-fire questions. So answer them as best you can, as quickly as you can. The rest, obviously, there might be a story behind them. So we'd love to hear that as well. So anyway, we'll start with number one. If you could pick one artist to perform at your wedding, who would it be musically?
Oh, that's so tough. Maybe Kem.
Who is
Kem? He's a R&B artist out of Detroit.
Okay.
He's phenomenal. And yeah.
Okay.
Maybe him. It's tough. That's tough though. There's a lot. But if Prince can come back to life, that'd be great.
Very good. What was your bridal waltz dance or song? Your dance song, sorry.
Our first dance was to I Love You by Climax Blues Band.
Oh, nice.
I'm a big yacht rock nerd. So
okay.
I was yacht rock before it was cool.
Okay.
So
very good. We had a big fight with my wife and I about the first dance. So she got to have.
You did?
Yeah. So not a big fight, but it was. So we actually had a bit of a trade off. So she said, "I'm picking the bridal dance." And I said, "No problems. I'm doing the music for the video." For the wedding video. So you'll hear Extreme and Joe Satriani and things like that on our wedding video. And we danced to I Finally Found Someone by Barbara Streisand. So
yeah.
So
aww.
Yeah, I didn't like that song. But
we were torn between that and it was Sade.
Yeah.
Not Ordinary Love. I'm blanking.
Not Smooth Operator?
By Your Side.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, right. By Your Side from Sade. We were narrowed down to those two.
Yeah.
And we played them both in the kitchen while making dinner and slow danced to each of them. And
beautiful. Nice.
Sorry, honey, but he may have gotten verklempt when we were dancing to I Love You, and that's when it became official.
Very good.
He's so cute.
Very good. I wanted a song by Extreme called When I First Kissed You. And I think when I played it to her, she was like, oh, yeah, that would have been a nice one. But she still stuck with hers. So anyway.
She still won with Barbara.
Yeah, exactly.
Babs won.
What would be your ideal wedding ceremony setting other than a church? Or is it the church?
Well, we got married at a brewery.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Makes the reception easy. Sorry?
Yeah. Great Lakes Brewing Company. That's where we got married. And that's where we also officially started dating and falling in love during the Christmas ale tapping, which is actually coming up. We'll be celebrating 7 years together.
Fantastic.
And 2.5 married now. But so aside from a brewery, I really thought I'd have like a barefoot on the beach wedding or elope in Vegas.
Okay. Fair enough. Ideal honeymoon destination.
Maybe one day I'll get my honeymoon in Vegas.
Yeah, I know that. I didn't know that
still
when I
haven't
put
had
this
that.
question in.
But Paris has always been a dream to go to. And then my husband and I really both want to go to Poland and Ireland too.
Okay.
So
very good.
Yeah.
What's one thing you would have changed about your wedding day if you could?
I would have been better about my budget.
Okay. But I don't think you're Robinson Crusoe there in terms of blowing the budget.
I mean, we still did really good for having maybe 100 people, but we'll be paying it down for a long time still.
Okay,
regardless,
fair enough.
Even with saving as much as we could.
What's the worst thing you've seen happen or heard of happening at a wedding?
I guess nothing super terrible. I mean, you hear stories about people getting stood up and that, but my personal experience, I guess the worst is just people getting so hammered that they're just like crying and fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the worst.
Falling
fortunately,
over. Yeah, before they can make a speech, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's at the end of the night, and then they're just like hammered and crying in the ladies' room, and I hate him. It's like, oh my God, get out of here.
What is your favorite wedding that you've seen? So it can be celebrity or not, or you've attended, or you've just seen on TV. What's a favorite wedding?
Okay, I'll go celebrity route because there's been so many great ones from my family and friends over the years, and I've been fortunate that every wedding I've been in has been awesome. So celebrity-wise, my favorite wedding is Cindy Crawford and Randy Gerber. They're barefoot in the beach in the Bahamas.
Okay.
Simple, beautiful, romantic.
Lovely. Yeah, very good. Yeah. Back to the beach again. So
yeah.
Can or should a woman propose? And the fact that I'm even asking that in this time, I know but some people have some traditional ideas on things. So
well, no, so okay, so with this, yeah, I mean, women, we should be able to do whatever we want, right? But I will say there's a little thing with this. Yes, I think women should be able to propose, and like you said, we are in times now that I think we should just
of course,
get it together, people. It's allowed.
Yeah.
However, I will say this is something that you need to talk about with your significant other, because if this is something that your significant other, whether it's male or female, obviously, that's something that they've always wanted to do, or they feel strongly about them, whether it's a gender role thing, or we're talking about like a lesbian couple, maybe the other woman wants that role, that wants to be able to do that. They've dreamt of doing that themselves. I think this is where a couple needs to have the discussion up front when they're starting to talk about like, hey, I want to marry you one day, like, what does that look like for you? Like, is this something that would bother you if I did it?
Okay.
Is this something that, because what if it's like really important to your partner?
Yeah.
Even more so than to you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You don't want to, it's not even just a gender role thing. It's just something that they've always wanted to do. Maybe figure that out first, so you're not hurting someone's feelings or making them feel uncomfortable, or, because if it does make them uncomfortable and not you, maybe that's a deeper discussion y'all need to be having about your future and your roles, you know, because that's going to then translate to chores and family planning and, kind of can snowball. So I say yes to women being able to propose, but have a conversation to make sure your partner is like on the same page as you.
Yeah. It's one of those things, I guess, that I think you're right in terms of communication. I, to this day, 33 years on, have never been allowed to forget the fact that I never really proposed. We were actually together for 9 years before we got married.
Well, you met in university, right?
Yeah. So she was, I was at first year uni, and Christine was actually finishing off her HSC, which is finishing off high school here. And then she came to the same uni, and then we spent time together there. So, but it was like, because of the issues we had with family and things like that, it was like, well, where are we going, sort of thing. And it's like, well, I've booked the church for February. What do you reckon? For April. And this was in February, so we got our wedding together between February and April.
Oh my gosh!
And I'm never allowed to forget the fact that I never really did the whole proposal thing. Yeah.
Have you just like randomly surprised her and gotten down on one knee and been like, I know I'm a little late, but
I'm thinking about I think, what is it, next year's our 25th anniversary. It might be something that could happen. It probably should happen, depending on how COVID's going at the time. It'd be nice. I think
you should.
Yes. She doesn't listen to the podcast, so don't worry about it. We can talk about it. It's good.
And I think that should lead to a vow renewal.
Yes, exactly. That would be good. So,
the kids involved, that'd be awesome.
Yes, my 3 boys, getting them involved, that'd be interesting. So,
yeah.
Very good. All right, on to the next one. Best TV. Oh, we already did your favorite wedding. So, best TV or movie wedding.
Favorite movie wedding is The Wedding Planner.
Okay.
Oh, actually, that's not actually a wedding. It's just a wedding movie. So I guess actual wedding in a movie. Oof. Gosh bless it. I don't know. Like, there's so many. I love My Big Fat Greek Wedding and 27 Dresses and The Wedding Date and
Runaway Bride.
There's Runaway Bride. Yeah, absolutely. And Sweet Home Alabama and
4 Weddings.
Steel Magnolias.
Yeah, still. Yeah.
I love 4 Weddings.
Yeah, it's funny.
So good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't.
One of those. Tough. That's all right. All right, cool.
But a movie that's like a wedding movie-ish, like The Wedding Planner with J-Lo and Matthew McConaughey is my all-time favorite.
Cool. Are there any old traditions you would like to see retired from the ceremony or the reception? Example, garter removal, all that sort of stuff. Is there anything?
Yeah, we did not do garter or bouquet toss. Like, please.
Yeah.
No one wants to see your uncle have his head up the bridesmaid's dress. Like, it's just, please end it. It's done.
Yeah, we're on the same.
I'm all for some traditions staying, but like that can go. Money dance. Yeah. I don't get it. Like, they're giving you enough money. Stop.
Yeah. Well, there are traditions around the some of the cultures where money is pinned to dresses and things like that.
Yeah,
So
and then I get.
We didn't do that. So.
Us either.
Okay.
I mean, we did a few different like Polish and Irish traditions, but we did not do anything like that.
I was going to ask you about your destinations for honeymoon and stuff. Poland and Irish is obviously your heritage. So, yeah, very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Longbrake, that's Irish?
So he's Irish, and since we've been doing like all the heritage stuff, like the 23andMe or whatever it is, my heritage, he has Greek in him too.
Oh, really? Ah,
yep.
Very good.
She didn't know.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, we're now up to your number one. We've finished all the wedding questions. We're up to your number one. So please let everybody know what your number one movie couple is.
It is Harry Burns and Sally Albright, When Harry Met Sally.
Classic.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think there's not an explanation really needed. I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know the beautiful trajectory of them trying to be friends but can't be friends, and then becoming friends, and then falling in love.
And it's so funny with Billy Crystal because he's pretty awkward, and everybody knows the cafe scene, but the whole movie is that back and forward between the two, and Billy Crystal being such a talent as well, and Meg Ryan very, very obviously very talented. It's a heartwarming movie.
Well, you mentioned that scene at the diner, Kat's Diner. So if you watch, the beginning of the movie, and they're in this car ride, she's kind of sheltered, right? And she has her days of the week underpants. Yeah. But there's no Sunday because of God.
Yes.
But then, fast forward to how she is there, and then as like their friendship develops and she, grows up, she gets older, she has her life experiences with dating Joe and being a journalist and all this. And then it leads to her being okay to fake orgasm in a diner, but in the beginning of that movie, you would never see that girl doing that. So that influence of him too, to kind of like open her up to not be so, uptight.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
her making him realize like, hey, quit being a man whore. Like, yeah, you got to get yourself together, Yeah,
look, it's a classic movie. And again, another one from the 80s, a great decade for movies. So,
oh, yeah.
Very cool.
So good.
Now, I do have one thing. Again, this could just be...
you're a couple.
Yeah, I just want to ask why, because I think this is probably, in recent times at least, one of the best love stories and couples that you've probably seen in cinema. Bella and Edward, Twilight. No, you're not a teenage vampire fan?
I'm not a Twilight fan. I tried watching it. I'm probably gonna get hate from people that are like super Twilight fans, but like I respect it, but no, they always look like they're hungry and they're hangry and they're constipated and annoyed, and there's nothing about it that is fun to me. Like, I can't make it through.
I read all the books.
That's not what I thought you were going to say, but that's funny. No. Yeah, no. But you know who almost made my list? Rachel and I'm blanking on his name. Crazy Rich Asians. I love that couple.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say Sylvester Stallone and Talia Shire from Rocky.
I mean, that's not a bad one. Oh, or Cher and Nick Cage in Moonstruck.
Moonstruck, yes.
That's a great one, too.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good
one. 80s movies.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe we're just a product of our generations. I don't know. But all my movies were 80s and 90s except for
this one.
Breakfast at Tiffany's. Yeah. Breakfast at Tiffany's was the only one that wasn't. It was 60s. Everything else is 80s and 90s.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding was 2002. So,
true.
Right, yeah. Now, look, again, I got heaps of crap from my best mate, when I did a podcast with Jacob from the Sunday Night Army, where we did guilty pleasure movies. And so I've read all the Twilight books, and the movies were like Mortal Instruments, and Twilight, obviously, and a couple other things that were on there. And he texted me after I did that episode and aired, and he said, "We can't be friends anymore." So, which, because it's very counter to, I guess, me normally, but I have I like werewolves and vampires and all that sort of stuff, and I love a good romance, and I love a romance that's got impediments that they have to overcome and things like that. So I guess when it comes to that, I'm a big softie, and because the books are better than the movies, probably that's why I'm a bit more invested in that couple. But there are a couple of things like Ghost and things like that I thought were actually really good ones. What was the other one? Oh, Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts. And yeah.
Just barely made my list. I love the relationship, but again, just barely made the cut.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was so tough.
You did a fantastic job.
You know who wasn't going to make my list?
Who's that?
50 Shades of Grey. That wasn't going to make my list.
I haven't even seen it. Got no interest in seeing it.
I just saw clips. No.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I've got no interest whatsoever. And my wife, same thing. I guess the book was a massive hit. And massive hit mostly with women and things like that, but my wife has got no interest in reading the book or watching the movie.
Me either.
She enjoys a good movie with a good plot and good story. She actually enjoys a good horror movie and scaring herself. So yeah, that's fine. All right, look, fantastic. That is a great top 10. Thank you very much for coming on today and giving me so much of your time. It's been an absolute ball. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find your broad swathe of work that you actually do and you're involved with? Please feel free to let everyone know where they can find you.
Sure. You can find Weddings Unveiled on your favorite podcast app. We're on all the major platforms. On Instagram and Twitter, it's at WU Leah Longbrake. And on Facebook, it's at Weddings Unveiled with Leah Longbrake. And then I'm at Cleveland Leah on all the social media channels you can find. And evergreenpodcast.com. We have over 100 podcasts you can check out. And then I have my blog, life-with-leah.com.
Fantastic.
And thank you so much, Darren. This seriously, like you said, it's a ball, and that was the first term that came to mind for me. Like, this was so much fun, and it's been such a pleasure to talk to you and meet you and be a part of your awesome podcast.
Thank you very much. You're very kind, and coming from someone with so much experience, that's that makes my day. So thank you very much. You have a fantastic rest of your day. It's early in the morning there, so you've got the day ahead of you. So thank you very much for making time. I'll catch you on the socials.
Yes. Talk to you soon.
Bye. That's it. Another showdown, and one that I think you can tell that both Leah and myself had a lot of fun recording. Leah is a very positive and genuine individual with a lot of experience in the broadcasting arena and just a fun person to chat with. It was the most fun I've had editing a show, as I had forgotten how much I enjoyed our chat. So I encourage you to go check out her show or one of the other shows that she produces for the Evergreen network. Also, don't forget to please subscribe to my show and drop me a hi somewhere on social media or in an email. Any and all feedback is encouraged. I'm not averse to hearing what I could do better, so don't worry about giving me some advice. Other than that, check out the Patreon or the Buy Me a Coffee link, and if you'd be so kind, rate and review the show wherever it's convenient. If you don't know how to do that, just follow the rate and review link in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and as usual, I'll chat at you again next week.